I was hoping you was putting on the pink.
If you want me to, I will.
Throw it on there. Huh?
I'm gonna. If you wear an orange, a cream orange, I'll wear
Cream orange.
Like Dumb and Dumber.
it. Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
No, I'll do Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Just knock into the.
That's what I told Jeff Clark we could do when he was my assistant. I said we need to go to the board meeting one day dressed as Dumb and Dumber.
Boobies and Blues, September 28th. Ground Zero Biloxi. Get tickets at groundzerobiloxi.com or carterschampions.com. You don't want to miss this event. 2024 Pink Dress Run, October 19th. Sign up at pinkdressrun.com or carterschampions.com. All money raised from our events go to Memorial Hospital Foundation. We've raised over $400,000 to help fight breast cancer right here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Come out and have a good time. If you don't want to make it out, donate. There's a link on our website. Go to carterschampions.com or pinkdressrun.com. Can't wait to see you there.
We offer home, auto, commercial, builders, reps, and life insurance.
Oliver's Guide.
Oliver Shots Insurance.
Tylertown.
Diablo. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's my photo there. Oh, ooh. Did you make sure we're not pull our stuff out? Hold
Yeah,
on.
we'll be down and out.
Hold on, Zachary.
Cadillac full
Sorry. Can't take me anywhere.
No.
Maybe Golden Corral.
Yeah. A
I'm
bull
down.
in the china shop.
What would you do if Ryan's Steakhouse came back?
Oh. See, I remember
What about
Shoney's.
Quincy's?
Quincy's and Shoney's.
Ooh, the bread,
Quincy's used to get the rolls.
Oh my
What?
God.
Go in there and get water.
the honey bread,
and
honey
some
butter.
roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Quincy's.
So,
Gotta be.
it's awesome. I love this is the first time doing two. I would. What do y'all call? Who? Protectors of the community? Like where we at on titles? Like I mean,
I'm not big on titles other than a leader of the community.
well, you're always like walking tall to me. Like you remind me of
Leader.
like the
Just a-
rundown.
Just a leader of the community. Society puts titles and names on things.
Okay.
I just like to choose to be a leader.
I'm just a back bay guy.
You're doing good at it though.
I'm trying.
Yeah, looking good too.
Thanks, brother.
I'm telling you, man. Like them boots and everything's going well.
Hey,
He's representing well.
not quite as good as Dan.
All right,
Nah.
let's delve in first. Go with you, Zach. Who are you, Zach? What's your title? Like for the community, because you represent a lot of us.
Well, yeah, I represent District 115, which consists of parts of D'Iberville and then really southeast Biloxi. I got a little bit of Biloxi that's north of the bay, and it's really an honor that enough people believed in me to go check a box with my name on it, and send me to Jackson to represent them at our state capitol. As far as who I am, man, the term that I hear quite often whenever you're with a group of guys and maybe you're meeting somebody they know and you don't know, and they kind of look over at you and they go, he's one of us. That's who I hope that I am and who I hope I can be. At the end of the day, like I feel like down here, I know we're growing, our cities are getting bigger, more people's moving in, but we have a culture down here.
Well, I got real quick. We are, no matter what people say, we are a tourist community.
Yes.
We are. So that's when I just wanted. That's why we're growing. Like
Yeah.
people, change is coming.
So we're a tourist community, but we're always going to have our hometowners, right? I
Right.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
the people who this is home, they've been here, some their whole entire life.
Left and came back.
That's right.
Left and
They
came
say
back.
it's a magnet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say, I come from my grandma on my mother's side of the family. I mean, my great grandpa's built shrimp boats and launched them in Back Bay and D'Iberville. I feel like we have a culture down here when it comes to our Gulf Coast and our marine life and just our way of life. And I want to represent the old and the new, and that's who I want to be, one of us,
I like it.
at the end of the
I like
day.
That's right.
Who are you? my house.
I was invited, and thank you for that invitation. Before we get started, I do want to say thank you to Zach, because putting your name on that ballot is the first major step. That is the major step. Win or lose, you put your name on the ballot, and there's a lot of people who will not do that.
No.
They just will not take that step.
Same thing.
And he did.
Let's talk about a lot of my friends, man. I love you to death, but y'all don't vote. Let's be honest. Go get your voter card.
Right.
Like, because I go to the precinct and I stay there all day to see if you go vote. I do on purpose.
Yeah.
But like, get your card. It's time. It literally. I heard that you can do it at the DMV, right?
You really go down to the courthouse.
Yeah, the courthouse.
Biloxi, Gulfport. Yeah, you can just go. They have a elections department, and you can go in there and sign your paper and get certified.
Yeah, that's
to vote.
Yeah.
So one of my big things is you can talk about it, but if you don't have your voter card, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, I mean, you have an option and you didn't use it.
Yeah,
it does need to be a bigger priority, especially for the younger generation. I mean, if you look at the age demographics of who's going out there and voting, it's typically our older generation.
Yes.
It really is. Our younger. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of younger people out there that are voting, but there's a lot that's not. I mean, when you look at elections in the most recent history here in our area, you're talking about 10% of constituents going out to vote.
Right.
Yeah. So I represent the way the districts are broken up for the state legislature. There's 122 in the state of Mississippi, and there's about 25,000 people in each district. There was less than 2,000 votes in mine, I believe. I've got 700 votes to win whenever I was in my runoff. May have been I want to say less than 2,000 votes total.
and what's the whole population?
Each district's broke up approximately 25,000 people.
So 700.
Yeah, is how many people voted for me to win.
So
Yeah, and it's back. I can remember in my teens, even MTV had Rock the Vote. I don't know how well it did at the time, but you don't see anything like that. You don't see where they're pushing get out the vote like that. There's nothing.
See if I can pull it up.
I remember Rock the Vote.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And it was on MTV, and they pushed it a lot. Now, whether it worked or not, who knows, but it was still an attempt to get people out in that age group, that demographic that watched MTV to do their civic duty. But you don't see that anymore.
So who are you? Because we hit him up, but who we got to drop in who you are. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, in the runoff, I'm sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to cut you off. In the runoff in a district that's approximately 25,000 people, I got 718. My opponent got 443.
There you go.
I mean, so that's the percentage that we're
6%
looking at.
probably, or something low.
It's low.
So I represent District 1 on the Harris County Board of Supervisors, and there's five of us. 4 other great representatives on the board, and they're great. I enjoy working with them. We all have our attributes and things that we bring to the table. That District 1 area goes from about the Coliseum to the bridge, the Ocean Springs Bridge there, and goes north up to basically the Stone County line. And it gets squirrely through Wool Market. It's kind of drawn weird through there, but essentially it's Biloxi, DeIberville, and north.
Wool Market Grocery? Are you there? Is that you?
No, that's actually Nathan.
Okay,
but I know exactly where that's at.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah,
I love that place. You been there?
I have.
It's awesome, dude. That's a really good spot.
Yes, it is. So I went to Harrison Central High School, graduated in 97. I stayed here, went to JD. I did a couple of different
Harvard on the Highway. Is that what you call it?
What's that?
Harvard on the Highway, or I think that's what they call that to Gaucher.
Oh, and Gaucher, yeah.
Yeah, Harvard on the Highway.
Harvard on the Highway.
Yeah.
I went to JD and I studied there, and I made my way into telecommunications. It was just by chance at Memorial Hospital, and I enjoyed it. had an opportunity to get on with Bell South and jumped on at Bell South. Been there 24, 25 years now. And I guess in my life, I felt like that I was at a point where I wanted to make a bigger difference, not only to show my sons that, you know, there's a lot more out there. You need to be a positive role model. You can actually make a difference on that side. And two, the leadership that I developed through the phone company, I felt I could apply that very well. And so that was one driving factor by getting involved.
So is your office right next to Golden Gate Skating Ring?
No, we do have an office there. That's our central office.
Yeah.
There is one there. Yes,
Okay.
that is. That's a central
So
office.
that's your crew, though. That's your
Well,
original crew.
There is a crew. There's a crew there. My original, I started out in the line crew in 2000, and I was there for about 4 or 5 years. I had an opportunity to take a management position at 25 in Biloxi on Judge Seacole. I was nervous as a cat on a tin roof, a 25-year-old kid going into a group of guys in Biloxi, Pascagoula, and Lucedale. I had probably 40 guys, 35 or 40 guys that reported to me at that time. And here I am, 25 years old, drinking at the water fountain because I'm so nervous that I got to go in here because I got to do safety coverages and tell them, you know, you might not got enough done yesterday. And here I am, 25, talking to somebody that's had 25 years at the phone company. So, but those guys taught me so much about life. The Buddy Gilberts, the Jack Ewans.
How old are you?
Me? I'm 45.
So 20 years ago.
Yeah, those guys taught me.
You went
a
management at 20 years ago?
lot. Yeah.
Gee.
Yeah.
You're a go-getter.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. So those guys taught me a lot, and I appreciate everything they did. In the 4 years that I was in the line crew, there's a gentleman by the name of Doug Ladner. He's a Ladner. He was very, very strong-willed person. And I thank him for what he did to us by making us climb poles, get out there and get after it. You know, hard days work for a hard day's pay. And, you know, I appreciate that in the very beginning from him. And it's stuck with me through
It's your life lessons.
That is pretty much it. It has stuck with me through my whole career and outside.
Same way, like have Janney King. Been have Janney King since I was 19 years old. I'll be 38 in a week. So what is that? 18 years? Been owning my Janney King franchise. I pick up trash after people. You can learn a lot about people when you pick up after them.
Yeah.
Change your whole mindset, like about people. I can see that for you in the same scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, especially then, was internet booming then? I can't remember. Was it?
We were just now really installing in fiber optics. Okay. It was really becoming mainstream for major backbone, and that's what we did. That's what I was hired in to do, was just hang fiber optic cables for the Gulf Coast, and that went from Picayune to Lucedale to Pascagoula to Bay St. Louis. I mean, that whole area is the block that we still have today, but that was the area that I worked. Our office was on not 22nd Avenue. That's where my office is now. It was on H Avenue in Gulfport, right there by Pass Road Elementary. That was my very first day at the phone company, was in that building.
So we're going to go into this too. What made you, let's go with you on the first. We had an old show, but we got to restart. You know, that's a show with y'all. What made you want to run?
You know, that's a great question, and it's not it's hard to give an easy answer. It's not just I wanted to do better. I wanted to help. You know, it really goes back to I think your foundation of who you are. I think to want to do something like this, it's got to be somewhat part of your DNA. You know, coming up, my grandma and grandpa, Bob and Shannon Stein, they owned and operated the Biloxi Diablo Press. So as a little kid, I mean, from the youngest days that I can remember, I was running around that paper office. We had offices in Biloxi and D'Iberville. rolling papers, stuffing papers, going on paper routes. My grandfather, the reason he started the paper office is because he wanted to be an advocate for merchants and small business owners and be able to advertise for them and tell people what was in the community. You know, I mean, we got to think, I know it's hard to remember times before social media and internet, but
Right.
at one point in time, the actual paper that got delivered every day, I mean, that's where people got their news.
Yeah.
And, my grandfather was always involved in local small town politics. I can remember so many conversations he and I had just about, loving your community and doing what you can to help. And, I always went with him to the local elections and council meetings and chamber of commerce meetings, and everything. And, coming up, when people would, at 5 years old, when people would ask me what I was going to do when I grew up at 5 years old, I told people I was going to be president one day, and,
is that still a chase going on? 'Cause I feel like most people are like 80 now. So are we doing this still?
Yeah.
I'm support you if you want to do it.
You still have time.
yeah. Well, but honestly, I think that it was just something that was just kind of put in me at a very young age. I mean, I literally, and I can say, I know it may sound, some kind of way to some people, but I love my home. And when I say my home, I'm not talking about my house.
Right.
I'm talking about my community, where I grew up. I said earlier, we have a culture down here, a way of life. And man, I love the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I will argue with anybody all day and every day. We had the great opportunity to be born in the best place in the United States.
Yes, sir.
To wake up and watch a sunrise on Back Bay, a sunset. I mean, I love my home. I love my community. I've got a sense of pride here. And for so many years, I've just want to be in a position to help people. That's why I was a police officer for 10 years. I wanted to help people. And
Undercover detective, let's be honest.
well, for a majority of my career there,
Yeah.
I did do a lot of undercover work.
He's not a snitch.
Narcotics work.
He's an undercover detective. It's good, and a good person.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. I try. But honestly, at the end of the day, I put my name on the ballot because I want to make a difference. I've got 2 young children now. So now it's not just about me, right? I've got children that are going to, one day raise a family here. And I just want it to be a good place for my children, their children, and everybody else's families. And I want to do my part. And as much as sometimes I would like to just sit in the back and be quiet, it's just not in my DNA. I've got to get involved. I just want to help at the end of the day.
Yeah. Ultimately.
How about you? Let's go on this one.
Before we go into it, was funny when he was talking about the paper before social media and all, and I was thinking, back then, if you wanted to buy something, you had to look in the penny pincher.
That's right.
If you had old penny pincher.
Or the under $100 at the Sun Herald.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It was booming, dude.
I mean, that was
Sun Herald, go back to that because I'm so tired of clicking and they're like, subscribe.
Yes.
It's like, I can't read the full story until I subscribe to you.
The classifieds used to look at them all.
Yeah,
the time.
dude, I bought a lot of stuff. I bought a lot of cars. We all did.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, it's way before Facebook Marketplace.
That's right.
Yes.
I spent more money on the newspaper than I did on Facebook Marketplace, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We're at that kind of age group where, I remember buying, they bought a CRX for $600.
What? Yeah, my sister had a CR.
It's a 1988. Yeah, seen it on there.
My first car was $500.
Yeah.
It was like $600.
3 Honda Accord, I believe.
Yeah.
What were you jamming to?
Oh
Come on.
man, probably Limp Bizkit or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, definitely a lot of country music, but I mean, I can remember the middle school days.
Oh,
and younger days.
What was your first car?
I had a pickup truck. It was an Isuzu pickup truck that my father had.
B20 2000 or whatever?
No, it was
Well, you got me excited for a second.
It was actually no, it was before that. It was an older one, and I took I purchased it from him. When you were talking about Delshamps. My very first job, it was between Delshamps and Save Center that was in Northwood Hills. There used to be a Save Center in Northwood Hills. And I ended up going to Save Center, and I was a cashier, and I did not like that. But I had to pay for my truck. I had to pay my dad for truck and insurance. And So I had to have a job, and I had to maintain that job in order to have a truck. So that's the first truck I had was an Isuzu Pup, P-U-P pickup. And
What
it was
year?
an Isuzu. I want to say that thing was a 19. Oh man, I don't know why I want to say 80 model. I want to say. I even took it and had it painted, and I did all the things you did with kids.
What'd your
Stereo
da-
system.
What'd your
all that.
dad do for a living?
My dad at that time, he worked at Maybell's Manufacturing for a very long time with the Werbies. After that, he went to Memorial Hospital. He worked at Memorial in the engineering department and then telecommunications department. That's where he worked at and retired probably two years ago. He retired from
Oh,
Memorial.
you love your dad. You and your dad are close.
Yeah, I love my dad. He's
Yeah.
He's people think that we're brothers sometimes. We resemble each other a lot. And but yeah, he and that's part of the hard knocks, I'm not giving you the truck, you have to pay for it.
It's what you're supposed to do.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I've had too many friends, and I love them. Like I said, in 38, I have too many friends, and I'm not going to call their names out, but they've been to Ole Miss, they've been all around the world, they've got all the degrees, and I can't vouch for half their career.
Yeah,
I really can't. Like because so people call me like resumes. I get resumes sent to me, and I send them out, but I can't. Some of them you can't vouch to because of that right there. Like they never knew when they got their truck. They got their truck, they didn't know what to pay for it. How to pay, like.
Nathan Barrett.
Oh, Nathan, legend.
He's coming on. It was at Richard's wedding. He's coming on. He said come on. But that was the big thing though for me was seeing the friends. They never got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And when you don't do that, when you're like 18, 19, 20, you don't know what it feels like to have a bill. You don't know it.
Well, it's hard to appreciate things in life. Period.
Yeah, it messes you up. I was working at the IP as a dishwasher at 16. My checks were $680 every 2 weeks.
Gosh, I don't even remember what mine were. I worked in high school. We got out at lunch, and I had actually had 3 jobs. I worked at Toucans, the Mexican restaurant. I worked at Toucans. They had some awesome food. They had some awesome food.
I do too.
You throw back. You just brought it up.
Yes, Toucans. I worked there as a bus boy.
Thought about it.
Yeah, a bus boy, and then on like Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, I worked at Winn-Dixie, and I pulled all the items to the front to make all the aisles look like they were full. That's what we did. There was 3 of us, and we went from one end to the store to the other, and just made everything look pretty. And then on weekends, I did that for an ice cream company. I would go on weekends and
Hotcha Dodge. What company?
it was Pet. It was Pet Dairy.
Are they still around?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're still around. They had a little office on Three Rivers Road. It was just a little like satellite office. And so yeah, I did that and just ran up and down the coast, just taking care of ice cream. Simple enough.
So what made you want to run? Now let's get I want to give it a little perspective. Carrie Duncan this is her husband. Like
yes, that is my
and
lovely wife.
When you think about the coast, if you think about news, you think Carrie Duncan. To you, CC.
Like I said, he's married to a celebrity.
Yeah.
To me, yeah. Like to me, yeah. Like I mean, we did a podcast. One of my first podcasts she did together before she retired.
That's awesome.
But it's like to me, it was like be around her because like she was the first one to get on a video, get on a mic way before anybody. I remember when I was doing Carter's Champions interviews. She texted me like, "You did good."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's a real person. It's like you're Carrie Duncan, dude. Like,
I appreciate that.
If you get a text message from Carrie Duncan, you know what that feels like? No, that's your wife.
Yeah, thanks for looking up.
And she's beautiful. So let's be honest.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thank you.
Yeah, but that's kind of like a situation. So how did it start? Like when you looked at her, because she's already built her platform for the community.
Yes.
Was it? I mean, when that day came that you were like, I'm ready, I'm gonna run. How was that?
I think it was from years. I would say mentally, emotionally, and physically, I was put together. I knew that I could take that next step and be able to help people without second guessing myself. And so when I got to that point, I knew that I didn't judge what people did in the past and what was happening and all that. I just knew that if I was faced with those same problems, those same issues and opportunities, that I could do one hell of a job and be proud of it. And not proud that my name is on it, but proud that I was able to help someone, regardless if they knew it was me or not. You can take Dan Cuevas off of anything, and you can put a random person in that seat the first 2 Mondays of the month. That doesn't mean anything to me other than the satisfaction of doing good for people. That is it. That is all I'm in it for. I've got a retirement with AT&T. You know, I've got things in my life that, being the supervisor and I guess all the things that come with it, for me, I don't need. I need to know that I'm doing good for other people because I'm satisfied with where I'm at. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm not wealthy. I don't have a bunch of stuff and a bunch of boats and cars and all that. I'm wealthy with the family that I have and the satisfaction that I have in myself. So now it's time for me to help other people.
It's a great perspective, man.
That's fucking
Well
awesome,
said.
dude. That is awesome.
And that's where it came from. You know, and people said that, you know, they wanted possibly if there was a chance to see change on the board of supervisors. That's where it was.
It's the same thing with you. That's why I always love you and respect you, is because you told me like, you're like, hey, you know, in this situation, he has AT&T, he has built a retirement, and you went straight up to run and not being in the best financial position, but you did it for the community.
That's right.
And that's something that I got to say, like, I'm down with you. Like that's cool to me. It's like,
oh yeah, I mean that
yeah.
speaks even more of a volume that you would take that chance,
Yeah.
knowing that you're not there, but yet you know the right thing is to step over that and put the community. Yeah, that's you can't even.
Zach, that's why you're a winner.
Yeah,
that's what makes you a winner.
Yeah,
because you're like, and you know what it's called for your family, but they're supportive. I'm supportive of you. Dan's supportive of you. But it's just cool when you told me, like, man, he's like, that's what I'm saying, like, interest. Whenever if it ever happens, let's go. But I was so intrigued by you going, dude, I don't have a retirement. I'm just in it. And I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want to see in a leader. I want to see a person that's not thinking about, you know, like what they have, right? And Dan pulled it up in he's probably got a 2007 2500 Duramax.
Yeah, it's 2006.
It's got the cat eyes.
Yeah,
diesel, right?
Yeah.
He's doing the same shit you're doing. So it's like, but it's cool that you went that route where you're like, hey, I'm going in to help the community.
Well, you know, I'm in the state retirement system. I was at the police department, you know, and getting elected, I'm back into that retirement system. But, you know, I had got out of police work, and, you know, while I was at the PD, I went to school at night school and finished up my MBA. And I wanted to, you know, do something different and maybe create a better life for my family. And, you know, I had started a great job with Coca-Cola that was going great. And one day the phone rang, and, you know, I had people out in the community encourage me to run for that position. And I spoke with my bosses at Coke. I knew there was a good chance that I was probably going to have to resign from that position. Yeah, Dan and I spoke about it during that time, because he told me, he said, Zach, if this is what you want to do, you know, I will help you find work, you know. And
that's boss,
man, you know, at the end of the day, it was really just a leap of faith, honestly. Doing, you know, I told when we finally made the decision to do it, because it had to be a decision together, right?
Yeah,
I mean, your family has to make that decision with you. And I looked at her, and there's so many crossroads in our life that we come to, right? And we're going to look back at that crossroads at some point in time down the road, and we're going to look back, and there's a possibility you're going to say, what if? And I told her that night, I said, I'm tired of what ifs. And she said, I am too. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, the only way we have a what if here is if we don't try. And she said, let's do it.
Yep.
That's jumped in.
Stress is from. Stress is just from, you know, just from not trying and you know, dwelling over it. To go into what you were saying, and I think that's where will benefit in the long run, will benefit Zach in the long run. I read something today that said, to find the true wealth in life, you have to help the masses. Wow. And so he's going to help the masses, and what's due to him has not come around yet.
You know, that's so significant,
That's true.
Dan, because,
Yeah.
you know, we did United in Blue.
Yeah.
You got involved with United in Blue a couple months before it happened.
I mean, I threw a couple paintings. Like next year, I'm in it.
But you helped. You helped market it and get the word out there. Dan jumped in with me. I forget when, late last year, early this year. But you know, through United in Blue, I sat down with women who lost their life partner. Some years ago, some recently. I sat down with families that lost a son. You know, we were able to help a law enforcement family who has a young child with a rare brain cancer. And leading up to that event, you know, I was taking a lot of these phone calls, talking to these families. And, you know, we have moments of appreciation. A lot of time it comes around like death. You know, you go to a funeral, you have that moment of appreciating the small things, right? Well, I realized at some point in time during planning United in Blue, you know, I want to do United in Blue for the rest of my life. So this isn't something that's just going to come around every now and then. These are families and people that we're going to help every single year. And through that process, I really learned, you know, I might not have a 47-foot Freeman sitting at the house, you know.
No.
But I've got a good roof over my family's head, and my kids have food in their bellies. I'm a rich man, brother.
That, to me, yeah, that's everything for me.
You know, when you talk about, it's crazy how you associate wealth with money. That's the way society is. Wealth with money. And for me, wealth is not attached to money, because there's people who have money who live miserable lives.
The problem is happy. You're just too big, though.
You know,
so we get extra points because you're way too tall. Like, let's be honest. Like if you see Dan, guys, what are you, 6? You gotta be 6'5".
Yeah, well, boots on. Yeah, definitely 6'5".
Yeah. So we're on the same boat, though. I think God puts us together for us. I believe in God.
Yeah,
and that's something I've always believed in. And like you said, the masses, kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about people all the time. Like, this is not my podcast. This is just a platform.
Yeah.
So all it is a voice. How we take it and how we run with it is, and for you, like, you know, United in Blue's a massive thing. And you know, last year y'all killed it.
We did great.
Yeah.
When'd y'all end up raising?
I can't remember the exact number, but definitely somewhere around 110,000 for that event.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did 110. I did 133 with my crew. $250,000 was for our coast.
That's great.
And I track every $20 bill. So, and it's for our coast.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, and that's what the thing is. It's like, that's what keeps me up at night. I mean, I'm the same way, man. I was telling my dad the other day, because, you know, my dad's on dialysis and he's going through a lot. And I used to always want a Porsche 911.
I'm telling you, man.
I was 17. I wanted a Porsche 911. Now I got Doug Borey's Dynamic Outdoors Hummer.
Yeah.
And you can't, if you got a brand new Porsche and said, I want to trade you, I'd be like, nope.
Porsche 911 is funny. When you said that the other night, I couldn't think. First time I think I've ever seen one of those was in the movie Commando, with Arnold Schwarzenegger flipped over on his side.
Gun room?
Yeah, the guy was driving a Porsche 911 and it ran up on the side. And
the yellow one.
Yeah, the yellow one. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So my dream is to have his room, Commando room.
Yeah. Yeah. Old
but
Commando.
It's people like y'all that inspire me. I mean, I'm a lot more like just out there politically. I will never run in a political office. Shout out to my stepdad, Scott Levenway. That was a promise made to him. He told me one time, he says, Jordan, he goes, who you are and how you are, he goes, you make more of an impact being you.
Yeah.
Give me a promise, never run. And I told him, yeah. He's spending most of his life in being a lobbyist, and somebody like I really do. It's kind of a cheat code. Like, me and him are together 3-4 days a week.
Right.
Like, he is an owner of the insurance office. He just got his license last week.
That's great.
We're always, because I get to see his vision, how he looked. He's like, don't ever run. Like, for me, don't ever run, because like he's been in the game for a long time. For what y'all do, I mean, it's a lot of work for y'all. I mean, y'all are y'all got to let's get into a couple policies right going on here. So, for instance, your board of supervisor. There's a lot of development in Biloxi.
Mhm.
Issues that you need to fight over. What's some of the new things that you're pushing right now?
For me, the first go round for me is taking care of our employees.
Okay.
That's for me. That's rooted in my daytime job. We did budget, still going through budget, but when you're going and looking at numbers and you're looking at the salaries of people and you're scrolling and you're flipping through and you're looking at it, and you get down there and you see where people are making less than $14 an hour, that's a problem. That's a problem. And so as a board, all of us came together and we said, look, those people that are under $14 an hour, we need to, if they're under 13, we need to get them to 14 and at least give them a 10% raise on top of that. As I'm going through that and I look at the pay of people, if you're in the upper part of our pay range, you have the opportunity to maybe go out and buy things and unfortunately find yourself financially in a bind. And so when you get a raise or the money doesn't stretch as far, you kind of done that to yourself. If somebody's making $12 an hour or $13 an hour, they can't go out and get into a financial bind. They're barely able to put food on the table. They're barely keeping the lights on. So I say for those people, that is what I've focused on in this first go round is the employees to make sure they're taken care of and their leadership. You can just change in leadership can change the whole momentum of a whole group of people. And change the tone to where their voices should be heard, and they matter. And that was my focus going in. I wanted the people that work for Harrison County to know that they are seen and they are appreciated.
Dan, that's a move. That's a really good move.
And we did it as a board. It wasn't just me.
No.
But that was my focus.
But that's cool. That is absolutely like a really respectable thing.
Right.
You're bringing up somebody that can buy their new car.
Yeah.
Groceries are. I mean, my buddy DJ Boris, he goes, dude, he orders everything all the time on the regular, always. Because he's a single dad, 2 kids, and he goes, man, I click to order my food.
Mm-hmm.
The price went 30% higher.
Yeah.
So why do you keep people, why you have to keep going? You have to bring it up because it's terrifying to order food right now.
Oh, I can't imagine. And also in those scales, we need to put caps on those. So if you're doing a certain job, you have to cap that job off at a certain kind of pay. And what that does is you're not shortchanging the person that's in that position, but you're letting them know at some point this is where you will top out. So let's look at whether it's training or whether it's moving you to another department so that you can make that next leap and go to the next tier to make more money. You don't have to stay there. If it tops out at $25 an hour and there's another position that tops out at 32, well, let's move you. Let's if you want to stay there, that's fine. But if you want to better yourself, let us help you do that. But jobs have to have a cap. You just can't. At some point, everyone will be making $200,000, right? If you keep giving raises and raises and raises, so when you put a cap on something, that also puts I won't say but the burden, but it puts them on notice to say, look, I need to apply myself now so I can go to the next level.
So you're saying cap on divisions?
Well, yeah. So just hypothetically, let's just say you're in, say, Sand Beach. I'll just use Sand Beach for the scenario, and you're operator 1. Well, operator 1 may top out at $22 an hour, but operator 2 would top out at $27 an hour. Well, then now as an employee, that you're only going to get to 22. So now you need to apply yourself and try and get the operator 2 position, which opens up an operator 1 position for somebody to move in. It's just kind of that everyone gets to go up. And if you continue to do that, everyone does better. Everyone progresses.
I think that's kind of smart. What What's your thoughts on that, Zach?
I think it's great to work on pay raises for employees. I think employee morale is great. I think if you invest in your employees and in whatever, and especially in a county position or city position or something like that, and you create a atmosphere of good morale, that means they're going to work harder. They're not going to call out as much. They're going to come into work, and I think it's important to invest into people. And,
Right.
And that's what you're telling me you're focusing on, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
That's
across
kind
the
of-
board.
But that's cool, Dan. Like
Yeah.
you got to be proud of that one. Like,
Well, yeah, and it makes you. That's that whole deal. I can be like Wizard of Oz, the guy that was in the back working the machine, and there was a smoke and the green, but you never knew who Oz was. I would be perfectly fine being Oz in the back, making things happen. And I think that goes into the sheriff's department with Matt, those conversations that we've all had. If we are indeed, which we are, the second largest county in the state, it's time for us to act, be that, and show it, and get there. And I mean,
yeah, where's my Matt sticker at? Because you were talking to me like, because you're supportive of Matt, I was Lewis's supporter. I vote. So I tell people all the time, I stick where I vote.
Yeah, I haven't got it yet. I actually
Matt
tried to call
watches the
Matt
show.
the other day.
Matt watches the show.
He hadn't called me back yet. If you're watching, I'm still waiting on you to call me back, Sheriff.
But I mean, so I was trying to tell you with Matt, that was like, look, I go in voting. Like, so I love Lewis. But also Cam came over. We did a podcast. He's blue tape right here. And he goes, he goes, oh, you're Lewis? Because we mess with each other.
yeah,
I'm Haley. Cool. I vote. Cam votes. You vote. You vote. I'm not changing my thing. It doesn't move that way. Now, he's done a lot of great things lately. So, I mean, to me, I seem everybody's pretty happy with the sheriff's department. And they do a big thing for the Pink Dress Run. When Troy ran it, they would cook food at the run, and then they'd donate all the money to us.
right.
So, but I'm waiting for that bumper sticker. I haven't seen it yet.
Talking about that, Elias family, such a great family. Lewis, we had several conversations. Great guy. Me and Matt Haley go way back. 20 years working narcotics together, kicking indoors together. Me and Matt just had a very long relationship. I knew his career. I knew where he came from. I knew what he wanted to do. And, we had two good guys, running for office.
So you got to vote for what you feel. And I think that was the biggest thing about people who go back to voting. You said 700 for you. I mean, it's just, you got to stick to what you vote for. Like when you came up, you're not in my district.
Right.
I was just like, that's dope. Like, that's dope. And all that stuff that happened to y'all, but like you won. And I was so proud of that because I like change.
Right.
If you keep everybody complacent and they stay there, they're bored.
Yeah.
What's kind of cool. So me and Dan, we actually go back about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So my youngest, my son, Charlie, he was just old enough to play baseball. And we were looking for a league that was looking for, still had some coach openings and stuff like that, because I wanted to coach him. And, I coached my daughter when she was that age. And a mutual friend reached out to Dan and said, hey, are y'all still looking for T-ball coaches? And Dan said, yes, I need T-ball coaches.
Yeah, because at the time I just volunteered to be the president of baseball in Woolmarket.
Yeah.
It was happened to be the same year. That's how he and I.
How do you
originally-
volunteer for that?
It was right after COVID, and there was
Tell me the story on that. I want to know the story on this.
go ahead and finish your story, and then I'll tell.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, so me and Dan got hooked up. We got signed up, and we started. I was volunteer coaching at Woolmarket Baseball League. Dan was the president of the baseball league, and man, we would always have conversations. We would talk family, politics, everything. And one day I showed up to the field, and Dan said, I'm running for Harrison County Supervisor. And I was like, man, that's awesome. Good luck. I already knew what kind of person he was. We had developed a great friendship over those few years. And then it probably was about 4 or 5 months later, I showed up and I said,
by the way,
hey, Dan, I'm running for state representative.
By the way,
So, it was the same year we got to run together. And man, it was campaigning. You know, I didn't know what it was like to campaign.
Yeah,
until
not
I
me
did
either. It was new
right.
to me.
And but when you're in it and you're in the trenches and you got somebody else that you're close with, like Dan, in it with you, I think we probably talked every day.
Yeah, we talked how it was going. Traded secrets on if you do this on the map, if you go here, and that was based on the relationship that we built through baseball. That I got involved with baseball. It was right after COVID. And Wool Market, Edmund Huguet actually works for the county now. And he did then, and he's still there. Was doing a great job trying to keep it together. And so my son was playing baseball, and he was doing the best he could to keep it together. And there was like practices that were not right. People weren't showing up. There was games, and he needed help. And I was like, I'm not going to be the parent to sit on the bleachers and complain and not do nothing. I mean, it's just too easy. I mean, I can just sit on that bleacher and just complain about everything and then go home. And and it's easy.
I love you and we're a lot alike.
We really are.
Yeah. So I was like,
It's hard to sit back,
Except he's
man.
way taller than both of
Yeah.
us.
So I was like, well, the next board meeting, let me go in there and talk with them and see. And that's how it came about. Just got involved and helped organize it and give him some relief. And there was already great people there on the softball side. Chris Mosley and Chevis Hatton were there.
Chris is a great.
They were great. They were great on the softball side. Chevis.
Y'all know Chevis.
Oh yeah, Chevis. Sarah's my cousin.
Chevis is everything.
Yeah.
John Carter.
Well, yeah, Chevis. And not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but Matt Haley and Cam and Kane, we all went to Harris Central together. So I know all them from school, from high school. And so anyways, that's how I got involved. That's how and I'm still there as the president of baseball, still trying to stay involved with it.
Thank you.
And, it's grown a lot. It's grown tremendously. And,
tell me more about Chevis, though.
Oh, well, Sarah, I come from a split family. My mother and father parted ways when I was probably around 3 or 4. And so my stepmom, Sue, she has a sister, Aunt Cindy. That is Sarah's mother. So that's how I grew up with Sarah and her family. So that's how I know Sarah. And then obviously Sarah married Chevis, and that's how we all go to sometimes Thanksgiving dinners together or there for Labor Day or something. So we're usually family. We're all together and, cutting up.
So I met Chevis at John Carter's house one night. First time I meeting Chevis. It was he was living in Saussure.
Yeah.
Blown away by like Chevis.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I know it.
You might would if you seen it. Yeah,
I think he
if you
runs a
saw
big
him.
part of Island View, right? He's
Yeah.
out
He's
there.
been working at Island View for a very long time.
Yeah, he's one of the sweetest people, but he's a voter.
Yeah.
There's not like Chevis probably watches this right now. He's a voter.
Yeah, and his mom, they all actually live in the woods, and they're in District 1. They're in District 1's voting precinct.
So everybody's Harrison Central, but you're not. I'm St. Martin.
D'Iberville.
Yeah, and you're.
And actually,
Harrison
Angela, she's from Harrison Central. Thrash.
Yeah.
She was the same. Harrison Central, same year.
You said 97, 98?
Yeah, they were probably 95, 96. They're a little bit older than me. So they, as I came into Harrison Central, they were either in 11th or 12th grade at that time.
Okay. Well, what year did you graduate?
04.
05.
Yeah. Yeah, you said you were going to be 38 in a week. I'll be 39 in December. So we're right there.
I'm excited about it, though. I really am. I like being older.
All you can do is embrace it, brother.
No, I love it.
It's inevitable. It's coming.
Yeah. And you talk about graduation and age and all, and it reminds me again, I do a lot of reading, and there's no amount of wealth can buy an ounce of time. I don't care what you have, you cannot buy an ounce of time.
That's right.
And I tell people,
It's valuable.
do not waste time. Do not waste time.
I don't. I don't.
And there's so many people that do.
I know, but
There's so many people chasing unrealistic things out there now more than ever.
So I always talk about
this.
this. So it's like we all make mistakes. We all live life.
Yeah.
We're all human. And I think the biggest thing is like failures, from whether it's financial or at home with your partner. You know, being in a relationship is work. Period.
That's
Mhm.
right.
It is work.
Yes.
Don't matter what the relationship is.
Yeah, it's work.
Yeah.
Especially in for us, like for events, constantly at home. People always ask me like, hey man, so what do you like doing for fun? Isn't that rocking chair y'all seen when y'all walked in?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Today I did maybe a little small, like the little bourbon, and I sat there for an hour and just rocked. No music. The rain was just coming down. It's like, this is my house. I own this place.
Right.
Like, that's for me is like my escape. So it's like, I don't want to, don't get me wrong. I love doing events. I enjoy being a part of it. I'll do a couple Mardi Gras events this year. We're doing a pink dress run. We're doing a few other things, but like, I enjoy watching my son, just grow. And
I'm with you, bro.
it's
I love
weird.
it.
It's so weird to ever think that, like, number one, whoever put responsibility for another person, that's
Yep.
scary. Like, that is
Yeah.
scary. I'm not the best dad. I have my moods, but I'm a teachable dad. So I love my little boy, and I make sure that's one of our biggest things. But it's,
that's my number one priority in life. There is not an amount of money. There is not a position. There is nothing more important to me than trying to be the best dad that I can possibly be. I've got 2 great kids, and I love them. To go to one of their sporting events or a school game that they've got going on, man, if I'm in town and I can make it, if you want to come catch me at the ball field.
That's right.
And I think it's important because we'll never get that time back. There's, like you just said, how precious time is.
Time is.
You can have as many millions of dollars you want. That's one thing you ain't gonna be able to buy back.
Yeah. And that, of course, it goes into another things that I think about. And
these are important things that people. So when you tell your things you think about,
yeah,
people want to hear your side because who you are.
I think about people say, take things for granted. You don't want to take things for granted. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. If you don't make this move, you're going to regret it. The one thing you take for granted every day is that you're going to come back in the door you left out of. You take that for granted because there's no guarantee when you leave that you're coming back at the end of that day. There's no guarantee. So every time I see my wife and my kids, I almost try not to think that way, but there's a possibility that I won't come back to them or they won't come back to me.
How many times they want to punch us in the head?
Right.
Slightly. Just like, come on. Especially in y'all's position, because like y'all signed up for it on
Yeah.
a political thing. You represent me
100%.
and everybody in this community. And I do my own independent stuff, but y'all are for the public. This
That's
is
right.
y'all's position. You for the people. You were elected for the people, not for popularity. And that's something I want to talk about that would really bother me, because I met a lot of politicians, and I'm not going to name their names.
Yeah.
I will not do that, but I'll just tell you right now what I gravitate towards y'all. When you called me, you're like, hey, me and Dan are coming on. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah, because I love you. Like, and
Right.
I know your fight. I know your fight. But like, there's some people that you're representing this area. Do you even know the people here? And that's kind of what set y'all kind of lit a fire, because there's a lot of people come to me like, I believe in term limits. I'm a firm believer in term limits. I think that's something that we need to do. Serve 8 years, go on. You don't need to be there 30. Like, show what you're worth, because you can do anything outside of that. Now, I don't believe in the career politician.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Number one, I have cerebral palsy. I don't file disability. I can, but I don't. Until the day where I just have to crawl myself,
Right.
I'm not. I'll work. I have 3 jobs, just like you. I work. We all work. All of us work our ass off. And I just get kind of I think I was so sad about meeting politicians that I was like, you're not in it. Like, you're not fighting. And I got to meet you. And I
Right.
told you, like, I was like, everybody's like calling you a narc. No, I'm like, you're like, I'm not a narc, dude. I was an undercover detective. I'm like, whew, you're okay. Then you're not like.
There's a good reason for that. Then there's a good reason.
But
for
that's
it
not
being-
like that's something like. But I told you, me and you had a long talk, and we talked about it.
we did.
And I was like, man, no, that's your career. Start like I'm fine with that. But like, I don't want. I'm so tired of the politicians that don't actually care.
No, and I agree. For me, yeah, I was elected to District 1 to represent the constituents in District 1 for Harrison County. But I feel the pressure or the responsibility to take care of everyone in Harrison County. If someone calls me with a problem in Marlin Ladner's area about, it could be something as simple as their garbage can't get fixed or whatever. I'm not going to tell that person that I can't help them, or call Marlin and say, Marlin, you got a constituent out there that has a trash can issue that they've had for 4 weeks and they can't get resolved. I'm just going to take it and go handle it. There's no reason to pass it around. They got my number. It's for me to handle. It's not for me to pass to someone else. It is my responsibility to make sure that gets handled. And when you take that and you apply it to all the other bigger things, that same mentality, essentially, that's all you have to do. You just have to want to find a resolution. And sometimes you get them right, sometimes you get them wrong. But if you're willing to own it and you're willing to shoulder it, your decisions, then it's easy. You just make the decision and you do the best you can do with it. And I want to do that for the whole county, especially for District 1, but for everyone.
What's your thoughts on that, Zach?
I mean, he's absolutely right. At the end of the day, he represents Harrison County. You know, he may have been elected as a District 1 supervisor, but you know, I mean, obviously from listening to his talk and, you know, his heart and his intentions, he knows that he represents Harrison County at the end of the day, and he wants to help the whole county. It's great. You know, it's same for most positions. You know, if you're a council member for a city, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, you were elected for your ward or you know, area, but you represent that city. You know, me, I'm a state representative,
Right.
but at the end of the day, I represent, you know, the state of Mississippi. You know, the votes that we cast in Jackson for legislation affect the entire state.
That's right.
You know, not just District 115. So, but I think it comes down to a sense of pride for we love where we live. We love our home. We love our community, and we want to do what we can. You know.
Do you think in some like the smaller political stuff, like with, you know, local council, there's a stuff going on Gulfport, which we had Ivan on, which I will speak on that with Spinner. I got a lot of backlash from the political side, but the people, my DMs were like, thank you, Jordan. Like, thank you, like, for, you know, putting that out there. But that was like, for me, it was like, so you go from like, you know, for Gulfport, and I know they're fixing things, and I know I'm not their biggest fan. I get it, but they made mistakes. Own up to your mistakes.
Correct.
And that really was a big thing. And Ivan did the rigging. He was part of the rigging in Biloxi. He went to jail. So he did 4 months. He served his time. He apologized.
Mm-hmm. Move on.
Yeah. And so when we had our last show, and that was a big thing though, politically, though, was I got a lot of like phone calls, like, and I'm not going to name names on that, but I got phone calls like, take it down, censor me. That made me uncomfortable. That was like, what? And I didn't. Right. And I remember Ivan texting us going, we're outliers. But all my DMs are like these small business owners that are struggling and suffering because you can't do a permit, you know, people, if they're going to do a business in your city, you cater to them. They don't cater to you. This is facts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a friend that lost $12,000 waiting on a permit. Took money out of her house for a permit. Like, to me, I'm over this shit. I am so over that political stuff. How can we change this? How do we take these small, you know, because y'all position y'all are in, but the cities. Like, the permits should be in a day or two. If somebody wants to build a restaurant, you don't have to give them so many rules because they're bringing tax revenue.
Right.
That's what a problem down here on the coast. We're killing most people's dreams because they can't afford to do a business, especially right now when interest rates are 6-8%. People have all their life savings to do a restaurant. I'm that person that goes to the restaurant and eats.
Right.
I'm in debt. I have a lot of debt. I'm struggling too, just along with everybody else. I'm just tired of that situation where if you don't like this, hush hush. I'm over that. How do I fix that? Because I'm not going to give out names, but you know who you are. But these people, I'm doing it for the people, not for you. Remember that. But that was like that opened my eyes. Calling parents, I was upset about it. Numerous things. People can say whatever they want to say about Ivan Spinner. That's my boy. He made mistakes, but there was 30 others that made them.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was a big thing is why can't we focus on when a small business wants to start their business? Why do they have to go through a fire loop and every other thing to get approved? I'm so tired of the additive proof. I don't care about you got to have this certain tree. You got to do this certain way. You got to do this. If you want to open a sandwich shop, you got to, it costs you $30,000 because you have to deal with the city. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know how it gets to that point. From the county, obviously, we have permitting office and things of that nature. And for me, if someone came to me with that, I would think it would be my duty prior to figure out, is this process cumbersome and is there a lot of red tape? And I should already be addressing that long before somebody comes and wants something. And that's conversations that we've had with on it. What are the processes? What are we doing? And they constantly have to be evaluated and changed. And if they're not, that's what happens. You end up with a lot of red tape. So I think the processes has to be evaluated, and that comes from the phone company because we do a lot of process changes and we go through multiple changes all the time. We'll spend millions and millions of dollars on a software program to track something, and then we'll junk it tomorrow. But we're constantly progressing to try and make something easier. And if they're not doing that, that is where you end up with a bunch of it just piled up. And two, I think you got to have a vision, I guess, not so much a vision. You got to have, what's the word I'm looking for? Along the lines of a vision that
I'd say a business plan.
Yeah. That if you were put yourself in their shoes, and that's what I'd do. Like if I walked in there, what would I have to do to get this? And is that all necessary? Is there some of that stuff that we can streamline?
Zach, you got something to say? I can tell right now you're itching right now.
No. I mean, honestly, I'm just listening right now. I mean, I think Dan has a lot of good points. At the end of the day, when it comes to code enforcement, each municipality, each county has their own set of rules, their own set of local laws. And, I'll be honest with you. I've seen some with some cities that, I haven't been a huge fan of some different codes and different things they have. But, that's why we have the form of government we have in our cities and our counties. That's why if we have an issue with something county's doing, Dan's my supervisor. He's the first person I'm going to call.
That's right.
And he, obviously it's easier because Dan and I's had a great relationship for multiple years, but that's how our government's supposed to work. I live in the city of D'Iberville. If I'm unhappy with, some type of local, code enforcement or something that's going on with the city, I should be able to reach out to my councilman or my mayor, go to a council meeting. If you don't like, current laws or something that's happening with your city, why are you not at your council meetings, giving your grievances during citizen comments? Go tell your elected officials what you're not happy with. And, I'm big about, don't bring me a problem without a solution.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying that everybody should have a solution for every problem. Don't misquote me there. But if we're going to go complain about something why don't you, take a few moments to think about it and say, well, what idea can I give them to possibly make this better?
Right.
And every council meeting that I know about, our board of supervisor meetings, there is a time for citizens comments. You get up, you normally have about 5 minutes.
Well, on the county, we don't.
Oh, y'all don't have
no,
it
not
in
on
the
the
county.
county. No, not on the
Okay,
county.
I'm sorry. Well, I know like City of
The
Diablo,
city,
City
yes,
of
they do,
Biloxi.
yes.
I'm sure City of Gulfport. You can get up and you tell them where you live, and you've got so many minutes to say, whatever you want to say.
Yeah,
and,
now you can get on the agenda and then come in, and you can get on the agenda and come in and do that. We just don't have an open mic.
So the thing is, I have an open mic. I have one. It's right here. I have it right now. It's open mic. It's been that situation that I always try to tell people, like, why do this? And it's for the people. I don't want to see my friend that, Shannon, she knows this, and it's really hurts my heart, but Shannon created Pot Brothers.
Oh yeah,
With
yeah.
her and her husband, Octavia. And we're about to do Tavi's on the new location. And I gave him my have a tile grot cleaner that he uses for restaurant. It's brought to him last week. But they're building another restaurant, and they've had so hard of a time getting ready to be open. It costs them so much money. But
I understand. I mean, I'm not trying to
no.
to take up for anything or explain anything. I'm just saying that, we can be unhappy with certain situations, but what are we trying to do to improve it? And you're right. You have an open mic here. We can talk about things here. We can try to make improvements here. We can bring awareness here, but at the end of the day, I feel like we fail to a certain degree of utilizing our government like it's supposed to be used. Call your elected officials. Call them. Tell them what's going on. You put them in a position to be able to affect change for these issues. And I'm not sitting here and saying a phone call is gonna get you what you want. I'm just saying, but call and ask at least.
That's what I needed, though. That was good. That's been something like you need to people do need to call, because I do call.
Hold them to the fire. You elected us to do a job, for 100%. A duty. Call me. My personal phone number is everywhere. You can find it on my website, on my Facebook page. Right. It's not hidden. I mean, about 228-313-6254. Right. If there is something that I can do, if there is a question that I can answer, call me. That's what I'm here for, and obviously 25,000 people, started calling, leave some text messages or some voicemails. We'll get back to you when we can, but no, seriously, that's what we're supposed to do. That's how our government was built. That's what it was meant to be. We're supposed to respond and be responsible for the people we represent.
Right.
And when I brought this up, it was not about both y'all. I wanted y'all side of it.
I didn't take it that way.
No, I didn't either. Yeah, but I think that, he's right. We signed up for it, and we did it for the reasons of, in the 4 years that we're there, we're doing and helping people because it's the right thing to do. It's not, we're not doing that so that we can get a vote for the following 4. I think we're both, in our 4 years, we want to do the best that we can do. Not looking for another.
I'll speak for y'all on this. Y'all are so goofy and just pure that it wouldn't to me would not y'all are not about getting likes. Y'all care about people.
No, I mean that's
that's why y'all are here. Zach, you said you being serious. Y'all are here because I love y'all.
Love you too, bro.
And
it's mutual, brother.
But I'm saying y'all ain't into that shit.
Right, look, I got a phone call one time since I've been in office.
Let's go.
And they said somebody called and wanted to know why you liked this person's post on Facebook.
No way.
I swear. And I said, look, man, I to be honest with you, I don't pay attention to who liked what, who did what. I'm not the social media guy. My wife really runs a lot of my social media. that's just not me. I'm not part of that generation,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, I'm definitely short of that.
And in this individual's defense, because it wasn't the person that was calling me was actually, looking out for me and calling me out of my best interest. And he was like, man, some people, they pay attention to that stuff. And I was like, well, I don't.
Yeah, and see that happened. That happened for me as well. They were like, you can't. There's, I guess, certain rules to engagement, and I'm like, I don't operate that. I mean, I don't operate that way. I don't understand that. When it comes to social media, I watched Joe Rogan when he first started. I still watch him a little bit, but the one thing I do not do for the most part is read comments. Comments can be just brutal in anything. You can just go to Facebook right now, scroll to anything.
They motivate me
and read the comments. And for me, the reason why I say that is because, again, someone's thoughts and opinions of me that is not my reality. That is their problem. That is not my problem. And so I don't buy into
When
it.
did it all started that way? How did it all start where people like really started involving themselves in other people's lives?
I don't know, but it sure
It's fucking
seems
annoying. To me, it's the most annoying thing I've ever had.
I'm trying to think of what the term they use whenever I was learning about it, really. And I think the term that's actually used is like flat earth. And I'm not trying to start a conversation about
Right.
the earth being flat. I'm talking about
Ralph
they
Lauren
talk about
Gotcha, bud.
they talk about literally how at one point in time there were people in certain countries and certain communities that didn't know what was going on around the world, and the internet kind of came and flattened everything out.
Yeah.
And it gave everybody access at the click of a finger to pretty much have an entire encyclopedia put in front of them, and technology and social media and internet has just created quickly, honestly, and a different world that we live in these days.
Yeah, and when you talk about quickly and technology, when I hired on at the phone company, we were installing equipment in the field that today I am taking down, turning down, and pulling out of the field. That's how fast technology. Within 20 years, the technology has changed so fast.
How'd you meet Carrie Duncan?
That, oh
Let's do
man,
that.
Golly, we just took a
there we go. Believe it or not, Carrie and I met.
It's a real conversation, though, right, with boys? I'm seeing
Yeah,
it.
Carrie and
Seriously.
I met at Tio's. Timothy, I know. I meant talking about Tio's. Tio's is gone. I'm sorry, Tio. It
Cuco's.
was early out. Down by Watson's in downtown Gulfport, the bar that was down there, it stayed open late. I can't believe.
Was it quarter?
No, it was right next to Watson's. What was it when you got off early from the casino late at night? They called it. I can't believe I can't remember the name of this place. Somebody's gonna
Yeah.
say.
Well. So how'd you Carrie Duncan? How'd you get Carrie Duncan as your wife? How'd you land that?
All right, so
Dan, I know you're tall.
There's no big dramatic story there.
She's hot.
He wants to know what your pickup line was,
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a pickup line, really. I can't believe I can't think of the name of that bar downtown
I'm trying to think of
Gulfport.
Fire Dogs?
No, it was right on 49. I can't believe it.
Don't worry about the bar.
Anyway,
Talk about
so I built a house in Woolmarket. I was living there by myself. It was more than I needed, and a cousin of mine moved back from Hattiesburg, and I said, "Man, let's just move in with me. Come on, let's make it a bachelor's pad, whatever." I never was one for going out that much. I mean, I did. Don't get me wrong, but at that time, I was in my early 30s, and I still hadn't been married. And so he was like, "Man, let's go out." He was newly divorced, and we were going out, and we would go to said bar, and I'll think of it in a minute. And I would go in the back, and Carrie had a little bitty bar in the back, and she just served beer back there. It's like her little bitty beer area. And so I would go, and people would hanging out and drinking and all that, and I would just go back there and hang out with her, drink beer with her and hang out. And I did that for months. Just go down there, hey, how's it going? And that's how it got started. And then, then we started calling each other and texting. And then it just out of the blue, her and I, we just hit it off. We started doing more things together, going places. Both of us were late in life to have kids and even to get married, and by our, I guess by standards. And so, we were just both in the right spot at the right time. I was, I guess I was 33. She had to have been 34, 35. We didn't have kids till late in life. Now I got a 7 and a 9-year-old, and I'm 45. I'm gonna be the guy that they say, "Hey, your granddad's here to pick your." They're gonna say, "No, that's his dad."
How about you?
What exactly?
How'd you meet your wife?
We met at church, actually. Golly, we got married 2010, so about 14 and a half years. Probably were
The first
together.
date night. Now he nailed the date night. What was your date night like? He nailed it the right way. How was your date night? Like when you first met her, like what'd y'all do? Like what'd y'all vibe?
And I guess before we go, our first date night was around Halloween. I dressed up as a sultan, and Carrie dressed up as something else, and we went over to the Island View for a Halloween event. That was actually our first, I guess you could say, real date.
It's hard to remember, but if I had to say what our first date night was, and I know she's watching, maybe she'll give me a thumbs up, but it had to have been on my grandma's pier, Back Bay, fishing in the dark with a pepperoni pizza from Domino's.
Man, that's
Hand toss.
Oh, absolutely.
good
Absolutely.
stuff.
And we had many a date nights fishing in the dark, man. When I say I'm a Back Bay guy, man, I love the water. Look, nailed it. She just said it. Nailed it. Yep. That was probably first date, first kiss, right there on Back Bay.
You knew?
Do what?
You knew then though? You're like, oh, I'm in.
That I was gonna marry? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't scare her off. I'm pretty sure I told her I love you on the first day.
You're a politician. That
Yeah.
I would run.
Yeah. Look, let me tell you, I've got an amazing wife, bro. There is no Zach Grady today. Obviously there's a Zach Grady, but who I am and what I've been able to achieve, she is the magic behind the scene.
That's the truth.
She does so much that people really don't know about. Running my social media, building my websites, keeping me in order, telling me where I need to go, deleting negative comments. So I'm not dealing with it during the campaign, man.
Yeah.
She's better than I deserve, I can assure you.
That's real though. You're being real about it.
Yeah, the bar was EOS.
EOS.
EOS, that was the name of it. Was early out. That derived from the.
I remember EOS.
casino.
I remember EOS.
EOS. That's where it was. EOS. I said TOs, being Timothy O'Sullivan's that got washed away after Katrina, but it was EOS. That was the name of the place. So, anyways, what were you going to ask me?
No, you're feeling like the way you nailed it, like the way y'all like, guys, you are y'all are politicians, and we could take the term different ways, right?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
But I'm proud of y'all, both of y'all.
Well, thank you.
And I'm so grateful to have y'all on my show.
Thanks, brother.
Because
I'm
I
glad to
appreciate
be
it.
here. It's always an honor to come here,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
and be a part of this. Thank you.
But it's amazing, and I just want to say, guys, like you got to vote, right? We're hitting about an hour and a half on the show, but guys, you got to go get your card. You got to vote. You got to figure out who you want to vote for. But I'll tell you right now, you vote for people that are honestly younger. I'll tell you right now, younger that are like just ready to fight and stand up, left or right. Now I run conservative on the most side, but I'm middle on some, and that's how I live my life. But the problem I always have, and always really, a lot of my friends don't vote. So get your card. You can go where can you can get your card?
Go to the courthouse, the same place you would get your license plate. There's going to be an elections office there, and it is super easy. You fill out a piece of paper, your name, your address, turn it in. They'll send you a voter's card in the mail. It is super easy.
But if you don't vote, don't talk to me about politics. That's
Right.
one of my rules. I don't want to have a conversation with you, and that's DJ Boris.
Yeah.
Me and him talked about it yesterday for lunch. We're like, if you don't vote, I don't want to hear about it. because me and him both been voters for a long time.
Yeah.
Like you gotta vote. If you gotta like can't go back and forth. You gotta figure out like politically like where you want to be. Like for me, I go Zach and Dan because I trade them like fantasy football players. So for me, it's like I want to see what they're changed because Dan does it. Dan and Zach are not doing it for money. They're doing it for to better the community. In the next 10 years, my kid's gonna live in this world that Dan and Zach build.
Mhm.
So I'm behind that. So get your voter card. I know you're like, don't be embarrassed. It's fun. Just get your card.
Yeah, you need to in your intro would be cool to do a retro 80s rock the vote kind of thing. That would be cool. MTV's rock the vote.
I'll
You
do
ought
it.
to do some retro.
If you do it with me, I'll do it.
Yeah, let's get it up
Yeah.
around election time. I mean,
Yeah,
let's
you know.
build the hype up. I remember one thing they did when I was a kid, and I know you remember it. You probably will too. They let they would have in Harrison County, when you went and voted, they would have a kid vote.
Yeah.
And they would let the kids fill out a little kid ballot, and it would even post on the news, this is who the kids voted for president.
Oh wow.
know,
I don't remember that.
And they would tally up the votes. Obviously it wasn't official, but it was something to get the kids
Yeah,
involved.
I remember
went
it. I remember it.
repetition.
Yeah, I went to the polling precincts.
remember.
I went to the polling precincts with my grandparents, with my mom. I always thought it was so cool when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And then when they did that, it was only a couple years,
Yeah.
but I got in there and was able to bubble in the little dots and everything,
But we do it as a family. Our boys and Carrie and I all go together, and I take one with me to the booth, and then she takes one with her to the booth.
You have a great wife too.
She is.
I mean, she
awesome.
literally her career was known on that.
She's awesome.
And be supportive of what we fight for. And what y'all are doing, I'm not worried about me. I'm already here.
Yeah.
Oliver, it's like
Yeah.
what y'all build the next 10 years, what y'all
Right.
fight for. You guys don't care about money. That's one thing that I love about y'all.
No,
Neither one of y'all care about that shit at all. Y'all care about making a better Gulf Coast.
that's
Right.
right. That's it.
And that's why y'all on my show.
That's right.
Love y'all. Brother. And if you got any feedback, send it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For our
I'll-
viewers tonight, I see
Yeah.
Miss Sarah Miller on there, Delmost.
Yeah, Odell, but thank y'all for tuning in.
Yeah,
That's my
Traveling
stepmom,
American. I
Sue-
wonder
Sue
is
Cuevas.
yes, yeah,
That's
Miss
our
Sue.
stepmom. That's
Mike
that's
McGill?
Sarah's aunt.
I
Sarah
was
Hatton.
thinking,
That's Sarah Hatton.
who's
Yes.
Traveling American? Who's that?
Oh,
Is that
that's-
Mike?
Yeah, that's
It's
Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well,
well,
love
thank y'all
y'all.
for joining in. I
Yeah.
mean, really, thank y'all.
Absolutely.
Take care.